Okay. Um, so I think we're almost live. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit while we wait to get completely booted up. But we're pretty close. If anybody's out there watching, hello. We're going to start up here in 3 minutes. If you're watching the recording, fast forward 3 minutes because there's nothing going on here except me setting up. Okay. So, make sure I have all my parts and pieces. Okay, sounds good. I know. Can you believe it? We're good on both Twitch and Facebook right now, so that's pretty exciting stuff, huh? Okay, I'm gonna move you over just a little bit. Okay, wait. I'm gonna see if I can actually get my, oops. I really hate this mouse. Okay, there we are. And reduce this a little bit. There we go. Wow. I know, can you believe it? 13 and a half weeks. We might know what we're doing. hmm Okay. Yep. Yep. Remind me when we're done and I will do that. Hi, Gail. Hi, Cheryl. I see you out there. Yay! Okay, one more minute and we're going to start. We're getting there. Looks like technology is on our side today. Knock on wood. Liam is out there. Hello, Liam. What are you doing, Liam? You gotta come see us sometime. I know you're back in town. Oh, you're back in Columbus. Okay, never mind. We're gonna start in 1 minute. Hi, Patty. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Linda. If you're out there watching and you're sort of lurking around, do tell us who you are. Say hello and, you know, tell us where you're watching from. That would be nice. All right. I am going to adjust that just a little bit more. It's 1 o'clock. I'm going to make one quick adjustment here. There we are. Before I start, I think I'm good. I actually have a new stand for the phone. It's a little more stable, but I'm still learning to work with it and figuring it out and that kind of thing. Anyway, so 1 o'clock, we should get started, right? It's 1 o'clock, Wednesday, June 17th. This is week 13. Woohoo! It is step-by-step step-by-step surprise today. So what is step-by-step surprise? If you're new here, step-by-step surprise is a concept of a surprise project. And what it is you order a kit through our website at theurbanbeater.com and you pick either copper or silver, you know, price point thing. And you don't know what you're getting, you don't know what the project is until we reveal. Today's being the first day, it's going to be a two-parter, so today and next week we'll finish up. And through the process, through the steps, it is going to be revealed what it is. Your first clue is going to be the title, which I don't think is really helpful. So today is step-by-step surprise within. So like, okay, what does that mean? But then your second clue would be when you receive your kit. So I think maybe some of you have figured out what the kit is. Let's see. So there are quite a few of you who have the kit. I see there who are saying hello. Let's see if anybody can guess what it is. Anybody have any idea or a guess of what it might be going to be, or you know what this is going to turn out to be? Let's see if anybody knows. But anyway, so because it is a surprise, and because you have to get the kit to participate, we really don't give complete details as to what gauge of wire we're using or dimensions. You will get the written instructions. It'll be parceled out per week, because again, we want to keep the surprise going. And everybody who has signed up for the class or got a kit should have received an email from me last evening, and then after with some of the tools and the materials detailed last night. And then after the video today, I will email the written instructions of what we did today. So anyway, okay, so no guesses out there as to what we are doing. All right, well, you'll know here in about 10 minutes. Anyway, so let's go through what we need. So today you're going to need something square. Okay, so some sort of a square mandrel. I have here an AccuLoop square plier, or you can definitely use a square bezel mandrel, something like this. By the way, all these tools can be found on the urbanbeater.com. If you're watching on Q Talk on Facebook, it is in the description, and then it will be loaded up to Twitch when we are done, as far as all the links where you can get the tools. Okay, so FYI, we are sold out of the square mandrel. Andy's telling me in my ear, because apparently all of our vendors who bring this in, it comes in from China, are having a difficult time restocking it. But anyway, we could put you on the list, and when we get it in, we'll send it out. But so you'll need something square to do this with. You'll need a side cutter. The Lindstrom Ultra Flush side cutter, I think, is one of the best cutters in the industry, and it saves a lot of filing and a lot of work. You will need a multi-looping plier or a round nose plier, but the multi-looping plier is really really great for what we're doing here. Okay, if you don't have a multi-looping plier, you can use a 1/4 inch dowel rod, will also work. If you have a round nose plier, it has to be a pretty big one. I mean, I don't know if I have a pair of round nose pliers that go up to that 1/4 inch size. A leather mallet, the little number 0 mini mallet, is the best one for this project, because we're going to be doing some really small pieces on this project. A bench block will be helpful also here. And of course, your solder setup. We're going to need a torch today, you're going to need some pickle and some solder, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so, or what the kind of solder that you need will depend on either the copper or the silver that you that you've ordered. Okay, that said, you're going to need some round wire, square wire, some jump rings, some large jump rings. You also received some Bally daisies and some fine silver wire. And you can already guess what that's for. If I gave you a tiny little bit of fine silver wire, we're going to be making granules, of course. And then, of course, we're going to need, and then there's going to be some small 5.5 millimeter jump rings. Okay, so there it is, done deal. So let's just jump in and do this. First thing you're going to do, you have a length of round wire. It is a little bit too long, so what I did was I went ahead and coiled it, because we're going to twist this first. Okay, so I'm just going to put it on a surface, a fireable surface, and I coiled it to a manageable state, and I'm just going to anneal it. And annealing is a process of just heating wire to open up those molecules to make it more pliable, that's all. So this will be helpful. So notice I'm just gently moving the frame around. I'm not wildly doing this, that's never helpful, but I'm not doing it so slow that I'm going to melt anything, right? And I don't know if you saw, but the wire started relaxing and it sort of laid down. Okay, if you do this on a tripod, it's probably the best thing to do. I'm going to stick it right in there into the quench water, and then we'll dry this up. Okay, like so. Set this aside. All right, so I'm going to take that wire. If this is too long for you, okay, then cut it in half, but I wouldn't cut it less than half. So that length of wire, see, it's still a little bit springy, but I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to fold it in half. This is the round wire, okay? Just going to fold it like so. And we're going to twist this wire. So you can pull out your wire twister. You can do this by holding one end in a pair of pliers and putting like a dowel rod or something in the other end and then just twisting it to get it to twist. However, I'm going to use a flex shaft. So here I'm just going to put it into the end of the flex shaft and whoops, here we go, to the end of the flex shaft, and I'm going to clamp it inside, but I'm going to close this just a little bit to make it more manageable, like so. And I'm just going to clamp it in there really nice and tight, and I'm going to move this to a second position. Did you see that? How I turned that? And tighten it like so. Okay, it's nice and tight. I'm going to pan out on this screen so maybe you can see what I'm doing. I think I'm a little tight on this shot here. So we are going to pan out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So pan out, and then I'm going to grab an awl, or just a dowel rod works, but I like my awl. Like so. Can you see that? So I have the awl in the loop on the side, and then I have a good grip on the other side with the flex shaft, and we're going to spin it. And you want a nice tight spin or twist. Okay, see that? There we go. Okay, so I went a little too far. You can see that on this end. I'm going to pull it up. See that? It's a little bit kinky, so I went just a little bit too far. That's okay. Alright, take it out. And then we're going to make rings with this. Alright, so here you can see it's really springy again because we hardened it. We work hardened it when we twisted it. So I'm going to, hold on, gonna change my view one more time. Bring it in a little bit so you can see what's going on. There we are. Okay, so because it's a little work hardened, I'm gonna again just coil it just a little bit, gentle coil, and I'm going to anneal this again. But see, look how it just like springs back out because it's so work hardened from the twisting. Okay, so just gonna bend this down just like so. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the tripod actually, like so, and anneal again. So I didn't pickle last time because I had a feeling I was gonna have to anneal again anyway. So watch, see the wire? It's relaxing. That's right. See, it fell down, and it's losing its springiness, which is good. Okay. I'm working in silver today because you know what? I decided that I'm gonna make another bracelet for myself. I know, crazy stuff, right? Me making a bracelet for myself. Whew. Oh, Andy said, you know what? You just blew the surprise by telling everybody it was a bracelet. Ah, you figured it out anyway, right? You knew it was going there with all the jump rings. So yes, that's what we're making today. We're making a bracelet. So, but you don't know what it looks like. Ha! So there, it's not as springy, or is it? It's still a little springy. You know what? I'm gonna anneal this just one more time. Still a little springy. Okay. So I'm working in copper. I'm sorry, I'm working in silver. Again, what you're looking for is you're looking for color changes in the metal, and that's how you know that it's annealed. You don't want to take this to red because you don't want to reticulate it. And just, I don't know if you can see that, but the coil just sort of relaxed and it just sort of laid down, right? So here I'm going to go ahead and pickle at this point because, you know, I've tormented it just a bit. So I'm just going to throw that in the pickle, and you'll need to pull out a dowel rod or I'm just going to use my multi-looping plier today because it's a little bit easier. But you could use a 1/4 inch dowel rod. All right, give it a second to pickle. My pickle is warming up in a crock pot next to me. So it's off the camera because our workspace is very small, but you'll see it here. So see, look at that. Nice and pretty all over again, which is great. All right. So we're just going to take this out. And you see I have this little bit of an end here. I'm just going to snip that off. If you don't want to waste that, you can go ahead and take out your chain nose pliers and twist it. If you don't want to waste any of that silver, you can do it like so and twist it. But I'm really not good at twisting these ends. So at some point there's always some waste here for me. Okay, there we go. So I'll take some of that off. You know what? This is a little heavy for these cutters. I'm going to switch out to my heavy duty cutters. Just like so. Always save the scraps. So then I'm going to go into the largest section of my multi-looping plier, and I'm going to put the end inside, and I'm just going to bend this and make rings. I take that back. It's a second to the largest size. Like so. And notice I'm just going to make rings. That's all. Just bend it around. And you want it really nice and tight. So you're going to need somewhere between, I'm thinking 8 and 9, okay, pieces. And see how I'm working that? And here I'm just going to snip it all the way down the line, just like so. And I'm making rings. Simple. So then you'll do it for the rest of the wire. Okay, you have all week to work on that. So because my cutters are not ultra flush on the heavy duty ones, I need to fix the ends there because it has a little bevel in it. Can you see that? See, it has a tiny little bevel. So now, because it was only one wire, I'm going to go ahead and cut it with this. And I'll come back and file those, okay? So just taking out the little tiny bevel on each end. And yes, I save all those little bits and pieces because at some point they do accumulate. You can always use it for water casting and recast that, or you can just turn it in and get money for it. Believe it or not, if you've been doing this long enough, all those little bits and pieces will add up to something. Okay, so if you still have little burrs on the inside, you will need a file. So pull out your needle nose file, is easiest to do, and we're just going to file right inside just a little bit so that you can bring the ends together for soldering. Remember, when you're soldering, the ends need to come together, and then you'll work it together just like a jump ring, back and forth. You see how I'm working that? And bring it together. Take out your chain nose and help it a little bit if you need to, and see if there's any more filing. There we go. And I like to make sure that my sides are even, or else I'm gonna have to file that, and you know how I feel about filing. It's painful. So notice I'm moving the rings aside and filing. So does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So the reason why I twisted this really tight is when we're bending it like this and making them into rings, they have a tendency to want to pull apart. The little wires want to pull apart. So by making a really tight twist, they stay together, which is great. So again, I'm just going to make a couple rings here. Okay, just like so. And you'll repeat this. You'll repeat this 8 to 9 times. Okay? Of course, this is going to be length dependent, but obviously if you only need 8 or 9 of these, this is not the only thing we're doing today, because you know, how much fun is that? It's not. You gotta make it interesting. Where do the bally beads come in? You're about to find out. Actually, you're not gonna find out. I'm not gonna tell you today. I'll tell you next week. Okay, so here we go. Last one. And then we'll solder this. Okay? Actually, I'm going to do this one a little bit better, because I want that to be a nice, clean, tight joint. I don't want to see any solder in there, or I don't want to see any gaps in there, because again, when you're soldering, you don't want any gaps. You want it to be nice and tight. Make it look professional. We're not amateurs here. You know, we're not making amateur jewelry. We're not making this in kindergarten. We're using a real torch. Yes, despite what some of us might think out there, these are real torches. Okay, put my stuff aside so that I can do a little soldering. All right, we're gonna place this up here on the tripod so you can see what I am doing. Okay, and you can put copper solder on there if you are doing copper. If you are doing silver, we are going to go with hard solder on these joints. Okay, I like to use a little bit of paste. If you prefer to use chip or sheet or whatever you want to use, wire, you can. It doesn't matter. It's just soldering. Okay, so I'm going to put it right on the joint just like that. Just a little dab right on that joint. Can you see that? Let me see. There you go. Okay, and I'm going to production line this. I'm going to make 4 today, and I'll probably end up staying on for a little longer, or re-establishing after we're done here to finish up more pieces. I don't know, maybe working on other pieces here on Twitch after we're done. So we're broadcasting today on Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. Yes, I know, I'm a nut. Why not get it all out there, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to heat the whole thing because it's silver. We're going to heat the entire ring. Get it nice and hot, and when it's nice and hot, I'm going to hit that joint where the solder is, and boom, there it is. Do another one, and I'm just going to production line it by going down the line and doing all the other ones too. Just like that. Okay? Again, heat the whole thing because it's silver. Got to heat everything and then hit that joint. With copper, you don't have to be so diligent about heating the whole piece. You can just heat it right at the joint and it will just work. Okay. What's the advantage of Periscope? No advantage to you. It's just an advantage to me. It's just another platform. That's all. Periscope is actually the video arm of Twitter is what that is. So, you know, it's just, it was out there. I had an account from 7 years ago, so just turn it on, see what happens. I'm not even checking messages there. So if you're watching on Periscope, reach out to me on Facebook. Okay, so I'm quenching on the side and I'm putting it in pickle. So while it is in pickle, we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so the next one's going to be a little bit more interesting. First of all, you're going to take out those large jump rings that you have, right? And you want to make sure that you close them and that they're together, okay? So that's first. That's easy enough to do. Then you're going to take out your square wire and then take some nylon nose pliers. I have a pair of parallel pliers here. I like my parallel nylon pliers, but any regular one would do, and straighten out your square wire just like that. Just in case there's a little torque in it or something, you want to make sure that you do straighten that out. That is the challenge of using square wire, is making sure you're always working on that plane and that you don't want to twist it. But now that I think about this, you know what? This would be fun twisted, but I'm trying to give it a little bit more dimension by having one twisted and one not twisted, but if you like everything twisted, so be it. Twist it, okay? So here we have it. And then I'm going to put this at about the 8, and notice how I'm doing that. I'm putting a little bit on the inside, and I'm going to bend it just like so. And to achieve a really nice tight bend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my my leather mallet, my mini leather mallet, and I'm going to just hit it down so it gives me this really nice tight bend on there. Okay, and then I'm going to bend it again on the other side, and again to get that nice tight bend, I'm holding it right inside of the pliers. And that's what's nice about these pliers, is I can go ahead and hammer right onto it. Okay, and I'm going to go for the third side just like so, trying to keep everybody nice and even. Okay, so what am I going to do for that fourth side? I'm going to pull this out, but before I do that, I want to check. I want it to fit, the ring to fit right inside just like so. Okay, so now we're going to put this back in, and notice where I'm at. The opening is now on the outside, so I can make my final bend, and I'm going to bypass it. Can you see that? Oops. Let's see. I know it's a little shiny, okay, but I've bypassed it. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit it down just like that. Okay, so you're going to pull it out, and you should have a square that fits over that large jump ring. Alright, take out your flush cutters and cut the ends just like so. Okay, and the other one had a little bevel in it, so I'm going to cut that too. You see that? And then we're going to work it together, work the ends together. There you go. Okay, so you do want to try to make this square is nice, and I'll set that aside, and I'm going to do this again. Alright, so once again, right at about that 8 mark, what you want to do is you want to create a ring that is big enough for the large jump ring to fit on the inside of it. I turn it like so, and just work it. Now again, you want to make sure you're working on the same plane, right? That you're not torquing anything, so that the wires remain flat and even. That's the trick to doing this, to working with square wire. Unless, of course, you decided to twist it, then it doesn't matter. Okay. Again, pull it out, snip it, and I'm going to snip this side too, just a wee bit. And I keep moving off screen because I'm putting it in my scrap pile. Okay, and I'm going to work these together like so. Okay, and I'm going to go, I'm probably going to end up with 4 here, but I know. Repeat. So you're going to repeat this approximately 7 to 8 times. Okay. See, that's what happened. I forgot I was talking, and I forgot to use the mallet on here to square it up. But using the mallet's really nice because it just totally squares it up, right? It squares up those corners. Because I can't get it to push down with my hands. So you want to go ahead and help it out just like that. And you'll do the same thing on the mandrel. If you have the bezel mandrel, same exact thing, no biggie. You're just going to work it around the mandrel, and you'll use your mallet to get it down, just like that. Okay. So here we'll snip it. I always, when I make a square, I always cut on the side. Why? Because, you know, if you cut at the corner, you'll have one corner that's different from all the other corners. So I want it to be even. That's why I always cut from the side. Ooh, ooh, let's see if we have just enough to make one more. Let's see, because you know, I hate wasting. Even these little scraps, I hate wasting. So I try to use every little bit that I have. Because again, today I'm doing silver. And Lord knows I don't want to waste that stuff. So the price of silver is slowly going back up. You know, it had that dramatic drop when everything sort of went kaput in the economy. But it is back up. It's riding at about $17.50 an ounce. So it's not necessarily cheap. Like when I started doing this, it was about $5. I know, crazy, right? And gold was about 300. Should have just bought the gold. I know. What was I thinking? I had an opportunity. We didn't buy it. So So the question was, what do you all need for July projects? You know, I'm still working on it. Actually, that's one of the projects I'm working on today, trying to finalize what we're doing. So hopefully I'll have everything done here in the next week. But so we'll see. Stay tuned. You know, the other thing too is if you want us to hold the orders, if you want to start placing orders and hold the orders, we can do that, and then when we combine it all, you know, we'll only charge you for the shipping that we use, and everything else will get refunded. Okay, so here we're going to use hard solder again. If you're doing copper, you just use copper solder, and I'm just going to put some right on the joint, just like that. Can you see that? So just a little bit on that joint, and I'm going to do it for all of them. I'm sorry, address what, Andy? Um, oh, so regarding the tools and whatnot, the projects, I'll post it on the QTalk site as to what we are doing. And I've been working really hard to get projects done ahead so that you can all plan. It's been a lot of work. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, but I also announced, due to high demand or requests, I have officially decided to do a virtual festival that we are calling Virtually Ever Crafting, where I have invited instructors from all over to teach all on one weekend. So it'll take place August 13th through 16th. Applications just literally went out 36 hours ago, and I already had 25 instructors request a application. So hopefully the deadline's next week for anybody. So if you know anybody who might want to teach, or whom you would like to see or take classes from, you know what? Send them to me, and I will send them an application for this event, because the deadline is next week for applying. And we're trying to get as many people to do it as possible, and you know, just sort of have fun with it. And also we're going to have another Zoom cocktail during the weekend, that weekend, and have a gathering, because we can, you know, where else are we going anyway? Okay, so here I have solder on each one of my rings at the joints, and I'm just going to solder the joints. Okay, so I'm pretty excited about Virtually Ever Crafting. I hope you know, I'll be posting the classes that were supposed to happen during the shows, which are not the classes that we've been doing here on the lives or even on the Zooms. They've all been new classes. So I know some of you were signed up for some of those classes. So this way you will still have the opportunity to take those classes. They're not lost. And besides, I've already done the work on them, right? So let's put them to work. So notice I'm heating all of these one at a time and then hitting the joint until the solder flows. How do you know solder has flowed? It's when the solder looks like liquid metal. Okay, so there we are, and I'm going to quench it. Whoop, on the side here, and then actually I'm going to quench it, just stick it into the pickle just like that, and then we'll go grab the other pieces out. The twists are going to come out here in a second because they've been sitting in there while we were doing this. Okay, remember when you're pulling pieces out of the pickle, you want to make sure that you rinse it because it has acid on it and you really don't want to be handling this stuff. Okay, so a good amount of water is plenty to get it rinsed. Okay, there's my pieces. Nice. If your pieces are not round anymore, do go ahead and put it on a mandrel. A round bezel mandrel is your friend, and work it. Okay, so let's see. So I'm just putting it on the mandrel and I'm making sure that it's nice and round, just because I can. Okay, so it looks like I lost Andy. Give me a second. Okay, so let's see if Andy can hear me now. Haha, I muted him. Okay, so oops, the things I do. Okay, so here I'm just going to round all of them. They're slightly misshapen from me working the ends together. I'm just going to work it like that. And because this is a workbench, I'm just going to flatten them out a little bit. Okay, so here comes the next optional thing if you want to do this. You can leave the rings as is, or you can put the rings on a bench block and with your chasing hammer, oops, with your chasing hammer, ooh, there it is, my nice new Fretz chasing hammer, hammer them flat. It's a different look altogether, so I don't know, if you want to change it up, go ahead and hammer those flat. Like here, I'm not gonna do it on mine, but I'll do it on this copper piece. So what's nice about that is, I don't know if you can see it, but it comes up, it gives this nice interesting surface. Flip it over. Okay, can you see that? You see how it gives that little bit of a shine there when I did that, as opposed to, do I have another one? To just being plain. You see, you have a nice little flat surface. So that's what happens when you flatten it. So it's up to you if you want to flatten it. If not, it's okay. So then, if you have any burrs on here, do take out some sandpaper and, you know, sand down those edges. Clean it up. Make it professional. Make it like a piece of jewelry you want to receive. Not a piece of jewelry you made, but a piece of jewelry that you want to receive, right? So take your time. All this finishing will pay off, always does, but then anything that you do, the time that you put into it, you'll get out of it, typically. No guarantees, right? Okay, so I'm just going to do that. My other pieces are in the pickle. It doesn't matter what kind of sandpaper you want to use on this. We're just taking off little burrs and we're just cleaning that up just a teeny weeny little bit. That's up to you. If you want to get aggressive about it, and use 400, even 200, but I think 200 is a little bit too aggressive. So you can use 400, 500, or 600 here. Okay. Let's see. There's that last one. I'm going to take a little burr off here, and then we're going to go to the squares. Actually, we're not going to go to the squares. We're going to make some granules. So we're going to make a bunch of granules. We're going to cut these. You have a piece of fine silver wire. Okay, even with the copper kit, you have some fine silver wire. You're going to cut 1/2 inch pieces. You'll want to flatten this out on a bench block first, or else it'll roll away. But you just want to cut little 1/2 inch pieces here. I'm using scrap as always. And set it aside like so. If you want all your granules to be the same, you'll want to measure it. If it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to you. Okay, set that aside. And to make the granules, pretty straightforward. We're just going to put it on the bench block and we're going to heat it right at the blue tip until it turns into a ball. So notice blue tip right on there. You know, I feel like you can't see my blue tip, so I'm going to do this really quickly. Let's see if that helps any. Aha! Just like so. See the blue tip right on the wire? Watch, it's going to change. It's right here. And done. Go to the next one. Do the same thing as this one's cooling. Right before it's completely cooled, I'm going to pull it off the board so it doesn't stick to the board.